Hello, everybody, and welcome to our final episode of Not Your Father's Movies 2007 Westerns.
Mike's birthday.
Mike's birthday slash Mike's birthday. Having trouble with words.
The final of the series.
The final of the series. Not the final, the final of the series. Thank you, Dan.
Good clarifications.
Vito. Thank you, everybody, for helping us through this process of speaking on a podcast. It's
hard.
A lot of fun. It can be hard.
It's so much fun.
It's very difficult. But today we are wrapping up our My Birthday series. I got a whole month out of it. It's great. You guys are so celebratory for me. On three fantastic movies from the early aughts, late aughts, I guess. The Assassination of Jesse James, No Country for Old Men, and There Will Be Blood. So big movies for all of us. These movies came to me when I was pretty young, and they introduced me to a whole world of cinema. They introduced me to a lot of stuff, and I have a lot of deep love for them. I think we all have deep love for parts of all of them, and so I'm really glad to be here tonight to finish this out. And so, what we've talked about in the last couple of episodes, we talked about our nostalgia, we've talked about cast and crew, we've gotten into what we liked, what we didn't like, we've gotten kind of into the themes already on some of them, because these movies are weighty. There's a lot of themes in them. They're tough, they're difficult. We're wrestling with them, wrestling with our own mortality, maybe. Who knows? But tonight we're really going to get into it, and to kick us off on getting into it, I want to talk about the Oscars a little bit. Let's start off with something real. The Oscars. So in 2007, when these movies came out, there were two major contenders in the battle for Best Picture. There was Not Your Father's Movies and
Contender.
Every time I do this, there's No Country for Old Men, and There Will Be Blood. And these two movies, produced by the same company, they were filmed at the same time in the same place. In fact, in There Will Be Blood, in the famous scene where everything lights on fire, the billowing smoke actually screwed with the Coen brothers production of No Country for Old Men. They had to stop production for a couple days until the smoke dissipated. So they were battling to see who would win Best Picture, Best Director, the big ones. We had a lot of performances. We had a lot of beautiful cinematography going on here, and we had a lot of adaptation occurring. And so I thought it would be kind of fun to kick off this section to see who agreed with the outcomes, who disagreed, or what we thought
as a pod, right?
As a pod, if we got to select some of these categories, the top five.
So wait, could I give just a little bit of context?
Yes, please give context.
So the actual winners of the 2007 Oscars that took place in February of 2008, Best Picture went to No Country for Old Men. Best Director went to Joel and Ethan Coen for No Country for Old Men. Best Actor went to Daniel Day-Lewis for There Will Be Blood. Skipping actress, because there are, unfortunately, in these movies, almost no women of note. These are very manly movies. Best Supporting Actor went to Javier Bardem, No Country for Old Men. Again, skipping Best Supporting Actress, and skipping Best Original Screenplay, of which all three of these that we're dealing with are all adaptations. But Best Adapted Screenplay went to No Country for Old Men. That kind of, let's go down here.
Cinematography.
Yes, cinematography. Score, none of the works that we're looking at were nominated. Art direction, There Will Be Blood was nominated. It did lose. Cinematography, There Will Be Blood did win.
Robert Elswit.
And editing, both No Country and There Will Be Blood were also nominated, but they both lost.
To The Bourne Ultimatum.
Isn't that crazy?
That is kind of crazy. But that also kind of makes sense.
I guess
you have to give something to Bourne.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
it made so
incomprehensible
much money.
fight scenes much?
I dug those fight scenes at the time.
It's the worst of the three, though, right?
Yeah.
I think it's the best of the three.
Well, it's the second best of the three. It's Bourne Identity, then Ultimatum, then Supremacy.
Supremacy is the worst.
Yeah.
Oh,
Does he have the cool Mercedes Jeep thing in Ultimatum? I think he
No,
does.
is it, or is that Supremacy? Because
That might be
Supremacy has the
Supremacy.
really great car chase.
Oh, maybe it's Supremacy then. I
Yeah.
love that car chase. That's
a really good car
badass.
chase.
Yeah.
But I do want to say that in terms of nominations, No Country and There Will Be Blood are both tied at
That's
8.
Right.
Trailing is Atonement and Michael Clayton with 7, and then Ratatouille bringing up the rear at 5.
It's amazing.
So that's a weird spread.
That's amazing.
Uh,
We also have the Diving Bell and the Butterfly in Juno
with 4.
with 4. We've got Enchanted this year. We've got Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber.
Fleet Street.
Tied with Transformers for number of nominations.
I
my
did not know
gosh.
Transformers got nominated.
Yeah.
And only 2 nominations for Assassination, tied with 3:10 to Yuma, American Gangster, Into the Wild, Pirates of the Caribbean at World's
Yes.
End.
We've talked about this Oscars before. I
We
think.
have. It's come up a couple times,
It's come
but
up a couple
just so
times.
that's the
Here and
context is
there.
that No Country walked away with the most, but there were some key ones given to There Will Be Blood, namely supporting actor and cinematography.
Yeah.
So
Was
with
an-
that, Michael,
was an
so-
actor in cinematography for? There
sorry,
Will Be
actor,
Blood?
not supporting
Actor,
actor,
yeah,
regular
yeah.
actor. You're right.
Yeah. So I put together a little poll here. This is an
Mhm.
anonymous poll to see how we as a pod felt about the wins here. And so going from let's start with Best Actor. So the nominees were Daniel Day-Lewis for There Will Be Blood. He won.
Mhm.
George Clooney from Michael Clayton, which is a fantastic movie. If you
Fucking
haven't
rules.
seen it. It rules. Johnny Depp for The Demon Barber of Fleet Street.
It's fine.
Tommy Lee Jones got nominated, but for a movie In the Valley of Elah.
In the Valley of Allah, yes, he is very good in that.
I've never seen it.
It's not bad.
It's not bad. And then Viggo Mortensen for Eastern Promises. So we have some heavy hitting movies here.
Gosh, the only real contender is Viggo Mortensen.
Yeah.
Like he and Daniel Day-Lewis, they're revelatory performances. It's just
They
that
really are.
Viggo's is so much more quiet,
Yeah.
and that's saying something. That Daniel Day-Lewis is so loud that it cancels out Viggo Mortensen nude having a fight in a Russian bath with razors.
Oh my gosh. Oh my, I'm so stressed out. Like just thinking of that scene. But so Daniel Day-Lewis won, and drum roll, please. We agree. 4 out of 4 say Daniel Day-Lewis should have won.
It's
No
just
one-
Yeah.
No one said anything else. Then moving on to Best Supporting Actor, we've got Javier Bardem. He won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor. Then we got Casey Affleck got nominated. I feel kind of bummed that what's his name didn't get nominated for this. From
that was
Paul
not
Dano?
helpful. Oh, Paul Dano.
well, Paul Dano didn't even get nominated, and also Sam
Rockwell.
Sam Rockwell didn't get nominated, which makes sense, I guess. But like,
He'd
it's
get his
still a bummer.
accolades later.
Like Casey Affleck, why didn't he get? Well, I don't know. Whatever. Philip Seymour Hoffman got nominated here for Charlie Wilson's War.
Stupid. Bad.
Which, yeah, that seems like we could have done something else there. Got Hal Holbrook for Into the Wild.
Really good.
Tom Wilkinson for Michael Clayton, and
Good.
was not even nominated Paul Dano. Like that seems wrong.
Yeah.
Honestly,
he
that
should have
seems
been
wrong to me.
nominated.
Yeah, he should have been nominated.
I think it's just that he's too young.
Out!
He gives so much for that performance. So, drum roll, we agree that Javier Bardem was the best supporting
Yeah.
actor.
He was.
Vito's
These
so
are
excited here.
great.
I
two
am.
great picks right here from us.
Yeah.
Javier's right.
It's-
Daniel Lewis is right.
Yeah.
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 I think
Yeah.
those
I
are
mean, like-
no-brainers.
There's no argument. Like, how do you beat that haircut?
I would
Maybe
I would
haircut.
I would have cut Philip Seymour Hoffman in favor of we just
Paul
said it.
Dano.
Yes.
Paul Dano. Yeah. I might have cut him in favor of Sam Rockwell.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Like,
but
that's a supporting actor.
I
yeah.
also think that there's some category fraud here. Casey Affleck should not be in
Yeah,
Best Supporting
he
Actor.
should be
that's a Best Actor.
Yeah.
That's
Mhm.
not a
Yeah.
that's not a supporting role.
I wish I'd had the time to do the research on that. But,
Well, it's not. He's in much. If you're gonna make any argument, is that he and Brad Pitt are co-leads, but he is in more of the movie than Brad Pitt is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's really what the movie is about. It's not really about Jesse James.
No, it's about his Robert Ford's action. He shouldn't
Yeah.
be here.
Yeah, Jesse
I
James
guess-
is a myth that
Yeah.
like puts Robert Ford up.
I would have
That's what's
cut.
holding up his performance and what he's doing.
I would have cut Johnny Depp and put Casey Affleck there.
Yep.
Johnny Depp does not deserve to be there for yet another performance in a Tim Burton movie with pancake makeup.
But probably it was like they were probably like, you know what, he doesn't stand a chance. He doesn't stand a chance at Best Actor against.
I mean, I don't think Johnny Depp did either.
I don't know. All right, so moving on to adapted screenplay, we've got No Country for Old Men, adapted from Cormac McCarthy's novel of the same name. We've got Atonement, Away from Her, The Diving Bell and the Butterfly, There Will Be Blood, and I put it here because it's not nominated, The Assassination of Jesse James. Just wondering if anyone thought that this should have won Best Adapted Screenplay.
Absolutely not.
Drum roll, and No Country for Old Men won Best Adapted Screenplay. So drum roll. We think There Will Be Blood should have won Best Adapted Screenplay.
I think so because the adaptation of the Coens, while masterful, while it does delete things that shouldn't really be in there, and it kind of corrects the novel in a way that makes the novel feel inferior, the work that was done by Paul Thomas Anderson to adapt, quote unquote, Oil by Upton Sinclair, make it about an entirely fictional character based upon two real life people using, according to him, scraps of paper from hundreds of different sources to cobble together the story of another man who could have conceivably lived in history at this time, at this place, doing these things, is a monumental achievement that is not on par with two brothers essentially just writing down some stuff from the novel, skipping a paragraph, and writing down more stuff. Yeah. Sorry.
So it sounds like what you're saying is that it's a great adapted screenplay because of how original it is.
Yeah, I am.
Which kind of, again, goes to your question of like categories. Like, what makes it a great adapted screenplay? If it comes from a great work, is it really that great of an adaptation, or how do we split these hairs here?
Oh, I think the Oscars very, very conclusively said that it's better to adapt a great work almost verbatim than it is to do any reimagining.
Yes. For this category, for sure.
Yeah, and I have not seen Away from Her, which was done by Sarah Polley. She has come up recently in an episode, and I would actually like to watch this now.
Yeah. I don't know what it is. All right. Category 4 that we're caring about today is cinematography. We've got Robert Elswit, who won for There Will Be Blood. We've got Roger Deakins for The Assassination of Jesse James and for No Country for Old Men.
That's amazing.
2 nominations
Dual nomination.
in 1 year for cinematography. Yeah. That's incredible. We've got Atonement by Seamus McGarvey, which is a beautiful movie, overwhelmingly so.
Yeah.
And then The Diving Bell and the Butterfly for Janusz
Kaminski, who is Steven Spielberg's favorite cinematographer now.
Okay.
He came up in the BFG.
That's right. I knew the name was familiar. And so let's drum roll. We believe that Roger Deakins should have won for The Assassination of Jesse James.
Good. I thought I was going to have to fight you guys on this one. Okay, good.
I think Deakins actually says this is his favorite. He thinks this is his most beautiful work. So that to me is like, if the artist is saying this is my greatest work, it's got to be his greatest work.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
It's stunning. It is stunning. Yeah. And There Will Be Blood is incredible as well. But I think that there's something like almost bolder in the way that Deakins did Assassination.
I think that Deakins is just coming at this with 4+ decades of experience and says, this is how we should tell the story. And Robert Elswit, while being incredibly skilled, talented, and successful, simply doesn't have the number of credits that Deakins does.
Yeah.
He does not have the same kind of otherworldly experience that this guy does.
And one of the things that was just so shocking in a way about The Assassination of Jesse James is like you guys spoke about it earlier or last episode, was like he uses sort of standard Western shots a lot of the time, but he does it in a way that is somehow new and breathtaking. Yeah, it's phenomenal that he's able to do that. I think he's a pretty good, cinematographer, guys.
He's pretty good at what he does.
He's all right. All right. Moving on to Best Director. We've got Coens, who won for Not Your
Father's Movies.
No Country for Old Men. We've got Julian Schnabel. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, for Diving Bell and the Butterfly. Jason Reitman for Juno.
Stupid.
Tony Gilroy for Michael Clayton, and There Will Be Blood by Paul Thomas.
I just really quick. I thought that this is also category fraud. I thought that this was supposed to be awarding good directing. So what's Jason Reitman doing here? Oh, no, he should have
got him.
You really got him for that movie over 10 years ago.
He deserves it. He deserves it because he just did the new Ghostbusters.
Oh, that's right. 15 years ago. Holy shit.
Yeah.
All right. And we think that Paul Thomas Anderson should have won Best Director.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely.
3 out of 4 of us did, so one of us doesn't. It's either me or Dan. I don't have to say.
I did.
I said PTA.
I said PTA.
I said PTA.
I said PTA.
But then
PTA. I don't know.
Wait, no. Someone said the Coens.
Wait.
Maybe
Sorry.
I said the Coens.
This is Best
This is
Director?
for Best Director, yeah.
I probably said. I
It's
said
okay.
Coen Brothers. I
I'm
apologize.
I'm the PTA stan here. Okay, it was not me.
No.
I mean, just yeah. Like I don't know.
Apparently,
yeah. Go ahead.
I guess this was only the second time that a pair of directors has ever won an Oscar, and that's generally not. You're not allowed to do that. Like you can't have multiple directors nominated or winning an Oscar. But I guess the rule that they kind of, or the loophole they have is that if you are an established duo, then you're allowed to have an Oscar nomination and win.
Yes.
Really?
An established duo per DGA or WGA guidelines. Yeah. If you haven't set that up, then like, for instance, I believe there was an award, a DGA award that would have gone to Sin City for Robert Rodriguez, except that he shared directing credits with Frank Miller and a special guest direction by Quentin Tarantino. And because they were not an organized DGA unit, could not be recognized. And so the Academy goes off of the different guilds and the different rules that they have.
Interesting.
So you can't just go out with your buddy one time, make a movie, and say you're an established duo. Like you need to consistently keep working together. You are two people that is organized and awarded as one. Yeah.
I like that because otherwise we'd have every movie would be directed by this person and this other guy. Yeah. And it would be, there'd be money behind it and there'd be, getting your buddies involved.
And it's so strange, though, that they both share directing credit on this one, because usually Ethan takes the screenplay credit and Joel takes the directing credit, even though they both say, it was both of us. I mean, if you look down in editing, you'll see here that it nominated is No Country for Old Men, which is Roderick Jaynes, which we know is the Coens.
Yeah.
That's their pseudonym. So they're both nominated for 3 different Oscars. 4 different Oscars. Yeah, because they're producers on the movie too.
That's right.
So as a duo, nominated 4 times. That's crazy.
That's amazing.
Do you think they get along?
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Yeah. Not anymore.
Guys, I dug Macbeth.
Wait, are they actually split apart? I mean, I know that they're split apart
It's just Joel.
No. Ethan now is setting up a new project that he wrote with his wife.
I don't think that there's
is this a real falling out, or is this just they're going their separate ways?
No one has said anything, but they are definitely working separately.
Yeah.
That's cool.
You cannot trust the Coen brothers for anything.
That's a good point.
Whatever they
say based on a true story.
There needs to be the Coen brothers story told in a movie.
It'll be like the Sparks Brothers documentary where you can't trust anything that was
We
said.
are Sparks.
All right, last one.
All right. Last one. Best Picture. Oh, wait. We didn't name them, but that's okay. We are split 50-50. Half of us chose No Country for Old Men. Half of us chose There Will Be Blood.
There Will Be Blood.
I chose No Country. And Dan, cheers.
No Country, yeah.
Cheers. No Country. I know that,
it should have
the
been
director
and
the film usually go together, but I feel like as a directing accomplishment, No Country for Old Men or There Will Be Blood is just phenomenal. Like all of the work and everything there, but
they really crafted the best picture of the year. Just this is the best time, just the best piece of art. That's what I think.
Agreed.
I think different.
Honestly, if I had gotten up on the left side of the bed, I would have probably said There Will Be Blood. I don't want to undercut this, but
if you had gotten up on the right side of the bed,
I think that time will be kind to both of these movies, and I think that much will be gotten out of both. But I really think at the end of the day, despite the questions of fate, death, luck, chance, life that are inside of No Country, it at its heart is really just an elevated genre pick, and There Will Be Blood is an American epic. That's what I think.
Yeah.
So there will be blood.
Well, that's it, guys. That's all we got. So no, I'm kidding.
Yeah. Mike's like, all right, quitting the pod. That's it.
Wait. All right. Where's our list? All right. So that is our Oscar. Anything else that you guys want to say about Oscars here? Is there like some like movie from 2007 that you're like, this should have been nominated?
Juno should have not been nominated for any of the Oscars.
It is amazing that it got nominated.
It's incredible considering that is basically a very competent dramedy. It's amazing. I think it was just the hot button issue of adoption versus abortion that was happening in 2007 that caught the cultural consciousness, that kind of swept it on this wave. Plus the character of Diablo Cody, this ex-stripper feminist screenwriter who was writing this kind of story. I think it just had a wave of popular momentum. But looking back at this, these are the nominations: No Country for Old Men, Atonement, Michael Clayton, There Will Be Blood, Juno. There's one of these things that is not like the others, folks.
It should have been 310 to Yuma. That's what I think. No, it really could have been. That's still Juno. Not like the others.
Is Juno maybe like the coda of that Oscars?
I think so, and I think that they really wanted a nice feel-good movie because there are 4 stone cold bummers on this list.
Michael Clayton
is about corporate espionage and corruption.
It's like the best version of John Grisham.
It is.
It's like better than anything he could have ever done.
I'm not the guy you try and kill. I'm the guy you buy.
I'm the guy you buy.
And like Atonement, which is like this bummer, like, hey, remember that one time that I ruined my sister's life and then she died?
It's not a funny movie.
Not at all. It's very serious. But I just think that there's so many other movies that I would have rather have seen gotten a shot at this. Like, I think that even Into the Wild is a better film than Juno. But again, that would be 5 of the saddest movies of the year. That's what I have to say.
Yeah.
Can we jump into the themes of these movies? Because these are all really big movies and we have so little time to talk about.
I know. And we just talked for 20 minutes about the Oscars. So
yeah, but look at this. Look how many things I can highlight.
Yeah, we've done a bunch. I don't know. Where do we want to start here?
I don't know. Just start with one.
Start with one. Scroll up. So
questions is 1.
Number 10.
Questions is 6, actually.
Actually.
Oh.
Hey everyone, jumping in real quick to tell you about something I'm personally very excited for. It's Sir's Furniture. SIRRS Furniture. Now, if you've been listening to our podcast for a long time, then you know about Sir. We did the crossover with the Before Sunset trilogy. He's been on a couple of our episodes. I've been on a couple of his. He's a dear friend, and he happens to make, besides a fantastic podcast, beautiful custom-made wood cutting boards of whatever flavor of wood you want in whatever kind of design you want. It's beautiful custom work. And with summertime coming up, I know that I'm going to be out barbecuing. I'm going to be out going to birthday parties. I'm going to be going to a couple of weddings. And it's sometimes hard to pick, what to give somebody, what to give a friend of mine. Sir's Furniture is your one-stop shop for cutting boards, charcuterie boards, coasters, anything that you can really think of that is handmade, handcrafted, and designed woodcraft. You've been using a small plastic board for years. You have. Or, take a look in your kitchen at those dried out twigs that you call cutting boards. And go to sirsfurniture.com, SIRRS furniture.com/NYFM. and check out the wide selection of beautiful handcrafted wooden cutting boards that are on display there. Now, listen, let me tell you, a little bit ago, when Mike welcomed in his 3rd child to the world, Jesse and I banded together and we pitched in on one of the big Bertha, I think it's called the Martha, of the cutting boards. It was big, it had a nice channel around the side, and we put Mike's last name right in the middle, and this board was gorgeous. I was upset that I didn't have Mike's last name so that I couldn't just keep it for myself. It was the single most beautiful cutting board I've ever seen. So that whether you love to cook, barbecue, or just need that perfect gift, Sir has what you need. So for 10% off, use our link, Sirs Furniture. That's SIRRS furniture.com/NYFM. That'll tell him that we sent you.
So the first question here is, does Daniel Plainview love his son?
Ever love his son?
Ever love his son?
Yes.
So, yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
a little bit.
So I guess let's start off with like the small questions, like just to give us like structure of some sort. We're starting off with like plot, character, specific movie level questions, and maybe we'll blossom into full plot questions through them and get to it for sure. So does Daniel Plainview ever love his son? Jesse, go.
So I watched another Charlie Rose interview with Daniel Day-Lewis. I don't know if you guys have ever seen these, but I watched this also with the Gigs in New York, and it is kind of painful. Charlie Rose does not know how to communicate with Daniel Day-Lewis, like, at all. And Daniel Day-Lewis, in turn, does not know how to communicate to Charlie Rose. And they are just talking over each other. Like, every time Charlie Rose asks a question, he's asking Daniel Day-Lewis, how do you play this person? Like, what is it that makes you that person? And every time Daniel Day-Lewis just says, I don't know. But every time he asks him, like, what does this character think about this? Daniel Day-Lewis has like a spot-on answer. And so there is this question, like, do you like your son at one point? And it has to do with at the very end. At the very end, when Daniel Day-Lewis kind of
bastard in a basket.
Bastard in a basket. Like, that is a cruel, terrible way. But what he's doing, says Daniel Day-Lewis, is letting go of his son.
He's hacking it away. He's hacking apart the part of his heart that loves him. Get out. Get away from me. I'm saving you.
Yeah, it's literally the most narcissistic way to do it. But you are like shoving your child away from you, saying, get away from me. You have nothing in me, right? Which is actually a blessing to the son. In a lot of ways.
He's like, bravo, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. You have nothing in me. Go.
Yes, please. Like I think that's what he actually means, but like he's so wrapped up in himself that it's hard to even to ever say something like that. So yeah, he does love his son in the most narcissistic way that is even possible to love another human being.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly, because there's moments of genuine affection between the two, genuine love and care. You know, him stroking his son after he lost his hearing, and he keeps humming, keeps saying, "That's enough now. That's enough." His greatest, had this thought, like Daniel Plainview's greatest strength is his voice. He's a powerful man physically, right? But his voice, he's so compelling and driving, and he has this energy that makes people fall into his wake, right? And he used to use that on his son, that convincing, conniving, narcissistic air, right? And now his son is completely beyond that. And it's like the one moment that you really see Daniel Plainview completely impotent, is he simply can't hear him. He has no control now. And you see him like helpless in that moment, holding his son, stroking his hair. He doesn't know what to do. His strength is gone. And later on, when in the speech with his brother, right, when he asks him, like, what about your son? And he says, and he takes this big, drains his glass of whiskey, right? And he says, I don't know. And you see like his forehead furrows and the veins are popping out of his forehead. He feels such distress about this. And he turns to his brother and he says, like, do you regain your sound? I don't know. Doctor does not know. Right? It's how can I open up the only channel I have between me and people, my voice, between me and my most beloved, my son? And he has no answer for this, and it tortures him. It kills him. Kills him to the point that he sends him away. You know, you are such a source of pain for me. You must go.
And that's like his only regret in life too, is that he abandoned his son.
I've abandoned my boy!
Oh man. Oh, it's such a good scene. It's like the only time in the movie that he speaks truth.
And he welcomes the punishment from Eli, right? Like Eli's slapping him and he keeps looking at him because he knows he deserves it.
It's not the only time I think he's spoken truth, but it is the only time he's admitted fault.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe not the only time, but like because the only time that he's speaking truth that he never wanted to speak.
Yeah.
Like that scene for him, and then the parallel of Paul Dano's character yelling, "I am a false prophet," and God is a
Mm-hmm.
superstition.
God is a
The
superstition.
parallel between those two scenes where they're shouting and it's like they are breaking free of their fraud and they are speaking their true inner beliefs. Oh man, I love both of those scenes to death. They're so amazing.
Yeah.
I do not believe it, but if you want me to say it, then I shall.
Then he's shouting it to the bowling alley. It's great.
There's
one
question
question that
really
I have about that. Oh, go ahead.
There's another really important scene though where he does speak truth and speak truth wholeheartedly, and that is to his brother.
Yes.
When talking about like who he is.
I have a competition in me.
People.
Yes.
Yeah. Like that.
Yeah.
Like he is definitely speaking truth there, but he's just not admitting a fault. He just accepts that as who he is. That's not
I
a
am
fault.
this way. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you are too.
If it's in me, it's in you. But of
That's
course, it's
why
not.
he-
It's not in
in him.
It's not in him. Yeah.
Not at all.
He's alone.
Yeah.
Daniel, in the end of the day, is alone completely.
No one like him. No one related.
Oof.
But so just like I have a question. At the moment, so it like he's kind of descending through this whole movie into like being truly evil.
He's Breaking Bad.
He's
Well,
Breaking Bad.
Yeah. He's sort of breaking
but
bad.
it seems like
It was a joke.
so it's a question like a question that I have is like, was he always bad, or like does he become bad? And it does seem like a turning point. Like the major turning point in his character is like the explosion and his son losing his hearing. And that's a beautiful point. Like the power that he has over his son is broken. The power, but also the connection.
Yeah.
The ability. It's both like it's this jumble of communication and desire to communicate with the person that you love,
He's
and
a
also
narcissist.
the desire to
Mhm.
like that's very difficult to lose the ability to communicate with someone that you love, even if you're not a narcissist.
No, I know, but that's why it's jumble. That's why it's tight.
Yeah. But it's also like his power, his ability to control and direct him, and to sort of use him and present something to people. He wants to be seen as like a family business, which is kind of interesting.
That's why he loops Henry in as quickly as possible.
yeah,
This
yeah.
is my brother, Henry.
But so in that scene where he's talking, where he says, he's yelling out, "I have abandoned my son. I have abandoned my son." Like, oh my gosh, like that is brutal scene. It's freaking incredible. It feels like at that point he truly chooses the darkness. From that point forward, and he's like laughing about it. He's like, "I've abandoned my son."
It's one of the most fucked up things. I don't think he's laughing about abandoning his son, but it's one of the most fucked up things that you can do, right? He's using a religious ceremony to gain an economic benefit that he would normally not get. And he's going to undergo this temporary humiliation to rub it in the faces of everyone.
Yeah.
Right. So it's sacrilege, number one. But I don't think he's glorying in the fact that he's lost his son. It seems like grief.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I agree with you.
I think.
Yes, I do agree with you. But I guess my question is, so like immediately after that, he gets his son back. He brings him back to him and all this stuff.
And the boy just starts beating on him.
Yeah, which and it's one of the things that's really interesting is like he never
after he hugs him and says, "That does me good, son. That does me good."
Yeah.
And he starts.
Boy, of course.
He says, "All right now, okay."
Yeah. But like, so he's corrected the fault. He admits in like a fucked up way that he's done something wrong that goes against his own like principles, and so he corrects it, but it doesn't save him. So like, I don't know. It makes me like, it seems like what I would expect is that by correcting the fault, you find salvation. That's what you expect in a movie or in a story, right? Like you like the guy admits his sin, and then he gets like he changes his life and it moves forward, having changed. That doesn't happen. Like he just keeps getting worse and worse. Like I don't know, that seems
very human.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, yeah. Well, one, that's very human, but also like he went to a religious ceremony that is a farce. Like it's shown that that's kind of farce with Paul Dano like throwing out a demon that doesn't even exist. Like, I love that scene, by the way. Like, when it's like from the demon's perspective, it's like, ouch!
Yeah.
Ouch! And like it's following him throughout the church all the way to the end.
Yeah.
You know that this is just a show.
Yeah.
It's just a show.
He's not throwing out her arthritis.
And
That's
this is another thing with the Charlie Rose interview is he says that Daniel Plainview has like a lesser view of Eli, because what Eli's doing is more dishonest in his view than what Daniel Plainview is doing, which is far more honest.
At least with Daniel Plainview, there is oil and there is money.
And everyone's getting the money.
Yeah,
and everyone's getting the oil. He's just getting most of it.
Yeah.
So Eli is just
a charlatan.
Just a charlatan, just making everything up. Yeah. And he's going along with that for just a little bit. And even though there is a hint of truth, I think he can cover that up with like, oh, yeah, this is all just a sham for just a brief second.
And I think too, like if you think about, especially the kind of complicated man that Daniel is, who's very greedy, very driven, very self-obsessed, right? Like remember his when his brother starts to ask him, like, what about the boy's mother? And he sits and he goes, I don't want to talk about those things. And he goes back to talking about himself.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So welcoming the boy back is as much as he had in him to give to somebody else.
Yeah.
But that was it. That was all. There's nothing left.
Yeah.
Like you came back. This fundamental issue is he still can't talk to him. And now the boy hates him. That's it. There's no chance for personal growth here. You know, his interior is as arid as the landscape surrounding him, in my view.
Yeah. Okay.
And last thing, in my opinion, that probably gets to the heart that differentiates this from other tales of a man falling into similar paths as Daniel Plainview, is that I think he's not just fated, but it's like in his blood, right? It's in his DNA. This is who he is. He is this guy. I don't even think it's a choice that he makes, at least in his view. Like this is just who this guy is. He is this narcissist. He is born this way, and that's why he's clinging to that false brother.
And there's so much parallelism between the two characters, Paul Dano and Daniel Daniel Day-Lewis. Like, I love one of the opening scenes when they're first getting the oil out of his first well. One of the guys, like, it's like he baptizes his son with the cross or something in the oil. It's like the very first religious symbolism that we have, and it's with oil. And I think what this movie does so well is show that these two guys.
I'm sorry. I just thought of like the ending of Gangs in New York, just like him like giving the son the sign of the cross with the oil and being like, "These are the hands that built America." Sorry.
Alternate ending. That would have worked.
Nice.
Yeah, those two movies probably share a lot of DNA, but I feel like these two characters, right? They're almost like two sides of the same coin, where they are frauds and they are making boatloads of money, and right, it's capitalism and this like whatever you call it, like revivalist Protestantism. Like these are the two pillars that built America, and they are.
I actually think that PTA is actually taking one step further. This is called the Church of the Third Revelation. We call the two revelations the Old and New Testament, right? So calling this the third revelation actually pushes it into a sect, like a cult. Yeah. And it seems that by equivocating a cult with the only church that's around, it seems that he's saying religion is the cult, right?
And so there's no other religion in the movie, right? Like,
no.
Yeah. So
well, actually, just the son gets married in a church to Eli Sunday's.
The son gets away
at a church that is definitely not a church of the Third Revelation.
The son gets away.
That is
right?
Yeah.
Right.
There is one instance of non-culture.
Yeah. I mean, the son is like the only kind of brightness in the movie, right?
The
son is the only redemptive character or shining light or hope in the movie. So that totally adds up.
Sorry, that was just a clarification. I didn't want to. I'm sorry for ruining your train.
I also am sorry.
No worries. I have no idea what I was about to say. So
shit.
It was probably the most profound thing I was ever going to say, but
damn it.
There it goes.
The sands of podcasts.
I will say I was while watching the Charlie Rose interview again. I keep referencing this. I promise this will be the last time. But one of the most profound things that Daniel Day-Lewis said was the final scene was about extinguishing the last spark of Daniel Plainview's old soul with blood.
I'm finished. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, and also the idea that like fire will be extinguished by blood, like that he is some sort of god to be fed this sort of ritual that he deserves. When obviously he's just like an ordinary man. That was just like
he's kind of a monster, right? He's lurking in the basement, like he's feeding on bones, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's literally he's in a palace. He is a god at this point. He has ascended above everybody else, lurking in the basement. And it's such a weird image.
In the bowling alley that no one ever uses except for him because he hates people.
Yeah.
Son doesn't.
And after bowling balls at people.
And after Eli denounces his god, he becomes Eli's god. He starts making him dance where to go, and then
I love that so much. I love it so much because it's so funny. Daniel, no, Daniel, no.
I remember laughing so hard as that was going on, and then like suddenly like feeling just so sick.
Yeah,
like, I remember just feeling sick at the thunk,
at the death.
Yeah,
and the brief hesitation that you see in his face, and he just does it.
Yeah.
But it's like the hesitation of one wondering if it's done.
I do just want to call attention again to the Rewatchables podcast because the needle drop of Slow Ride at the end of There Will Be Blood is masterful. It's genius. We'll link to that in the show notes. That is so funny. It made my wife cried laughing. She like kept rewinding to hear it again. Could we move on to we're talking about Daniel Plainview a lot as someone that we can imagine living, like his psychology exists.
Yeah.
Is the psychology of Anton Chigurh or Jesse James, do these people come across as people or are they characters?
I'm gonna say that Anton Chigurh is a character to me.
Absolutely.
Like, there were a lot of I did watch some videos like comparing him a lot to Death. Like even that's why he has a bowl cut to make it seem like he's wearing a hood almost. His own hair is that way. And it's like
that's a stretch, but okay.
I think it's just to make him look like a psychopath. Like
his hair and the way he's dressing in black.
The Coens said that they gave him that haircut because they thought it was funny.
But again, you can't trust the Coens.
You can't. But I like that answer so much more than we wanted him to be Death, and that's the cowl. He's like that super unappealing.
Like a little too. I don't know. Yeah, but sure. Yeah,
I did read that there was a host of psychiatrists that watched like 400 movies, and they all judged. Or they all tried to analyze like which of the characters were psychopaths, and they found like 123 psychopaths in these movies, and they said that Anton Chigurh was the most clinically accurate psychopath. Whatever that means.
Will you hold still for me, sir? Will you hold still for me, sir?
Yeah,
he is a believable psychopath,
right? And so that I bring that up only to say like. Is he a character or is he a real person?
He seems to have like preternatural abilities, though. You know?
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely like a Jeffrey Dahmer. Like, he's not a normal person. He's not a typical person.
But I mean, he moves inhumanly fast, and he has an intuition that seems otherworldly, right?
Yeah,
when he comes across. I'm sorry, Jesse. Go ahead.
When he comes up behind Woody Harrelson, it's like, dude, how would you know?
That or like when he comes into Josh Brolin gets down, looks underneath the door. Chigurh comes by, steps away, and then Locke punches out. Then Josh Brolin's out the window. Then he goes around the block and he's running. And then like immediately he's shot. Like Chigurh knew exactly what he was going to do. But like there's no clear indication why he would have thought that. Right?
Yeah.
Like there's no like chain of evidence that would lead you logically to the assumption of where Josh Brolin would be. He just happened to be there exactly then. And then the numerous times where Josh Brolin's trying to get away in the car. And then it seems he keeps looking in mirrors. You can't see anybody. And then all of a sudden, muzzle flash, right? Everywhere he should be to get a shot at Josh Brolin, he always is.
Yeah.
Like that's what makes him more of a character than a person. He seems to have no limitations.
He's an unstoppable force, right?
Yeah. And Josh Brolin is a very movable object.
Yeah. So like he might be like in his, like when he interacts with people, he exhibits the signs of a psychopath, but still like, yeah, he seems more,
it's a wraith.
More a symbol than a character.
But he also
a symbol.
It's almost like he seems to be more not impossible, but just statistically speaking, improbable.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
It's not impossible that he could have gotten to that window to shoot at Brolin from the alleyway. However, he is using a shotgun with a silencer, and he shot Josh Brolin from like 80 feet away
with a shotgun
and
with
got
a
him
silencer.
Real good.
Apparently, they invented that silencer, and it actually works with a shotgun.
I mean, I don't doubt it does, but I mean, that's a really long way away for a shotgun to work.
Like they invented the shotgun for the movie.
Right, makes sense.
Which is kind of
it is pretty bizarre. Yeah.
If you build it, they will shoot it.
Yeah. Or like the silencer. I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think I agree. Like he's not really. It's like his superpower. He's a superpowered individual, and his superpower is just really, really good luck.
Yeah, he's like Domino in Deadpool 2.
Yeah.
Or he's like any person with a superhero in any M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Yeah.
Just like
20%
better. You know, he's just 20% better than other people.
Yeah. And he's a psychopath. Cool. Okay, what about Jesse James?
Also 20% better than most people about guessing things. But that also kind of seems to be from just knowing people really, really well.
Yeah. Like Jesse James he just seems to like in a world without smartphones where nobody really knows anything, if you've been around enough people, you can start guessing and reading people pretty well.
Yeah.
And also maybe Jesse James was wrong on many occasions, but like he just killed them, so
who cares?
Who's to tell the tale?
And, I mean, also thinking about the way he does it too, he certainly is not surrounding himself with people of an equal intellect to him.
He is much more intelligent
These
than
are
everybody else.
Basically idiots that are working for him. Idiots who are mean and can shoot a gun, right? Which is all you need in a posse, right? That can hold up trains. But like, you know, you see Garrett Dillahunt trying to lie. It's like, dude, bro.
Like your life is on the line here, dude.
Even Jesse James, like, you're lying so badly. Does that mean you're actually telling the truth?
like is it possible for someone to be this bad at lying?
Yeah, I know.
Like this guy is.
Do I need to? I guess I have to take you out and shoot you now because you clearly think that you're fooling me. And if you don't think that, why are you so nervous? I don't know. He seemed real and he seemed vulnerable. Like the bit where he goes with Paul Schneider's Little Dick, right? Dick Little.
Dick Little.
He goes to beat on that little boy, right?
Yeah.
And then he goes to the horse and he has that quick breakdown against the horse.
Yeah.
It seems that Dick is probably next. Dick is fairly smart.
Yes.
And that's why I
he's
think
lucky.
I think that's why Jesse didn't kill him. I think he believed him. Which is funny because it was actually Dick that was a problem.
And the only one who survived in the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got arrested,
we don't know about. He got arrested. And he
made a deal.
That's right.
Yeah.
What about like his family stuff? Like the fact that he could have a loving wife and be loved and loving to his children.
I mean, if you only come home every few days and have a relationship with wife and kids, like I don't think that's that hard to pull off if you're like basically a professional actor, which is what it seems like he is.
Also, think about what he does. Think about what he does, though. He only brings around his crew who are stupid, and he constantly, constantly uproots his family. His family have no real social connections outside of him. They're going to view the world as the enemy, right? He is the only constant in their lives.
Yeah.
So of course they would be it's a key tactic of abusers is to isolate and control. And that's what he's doing. And every time it seems like the townspeople are catching on or life gets too good, in the middle of the night, they move.
Right. Yeah.
Sorry, Dan.
They also say that he was like faithful to his wife, that he never messed around or slept around. And I don't know if that's, I mean, that could just be the legend, but
He also apparently blinked a lot.
yeah,
Didn't see any of that.
So he never blinked and slept around constantly. Gotcha.
right. That must be non sequitur. No, yeah. So I don't know. It's hard to know what exactly he was. Clearly, to perform this much evil, like you couldn't have been have a great personal life. There must have been something off, something like really messed up. Like I love the scene where he like cuts off the two snake heads, and then he's just watching them, writhe around his arm. Like he's messed up. But so much of his life seems like he has control over it.
Yeah.
But there's something like just off about his psyche or about his like what he enjoys or what
it says he never felt bad about any of those 17 murders. That's a lot of murders to not feel bad about.
Yeah.
And also it says his children never knew his name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dad.
Like how
he was Thomas Cowell or whatever to them.
I mean, maybe he didn't even say that. Like,
because he changes his name. Yeah.
Yeah. He probably changes his name pretty frequently. So they just called him Dad. And he does not have a great relationship. He has a relationship where he goes up, he can hug his children, he can spin them around, he can kiss them on the cheek, and that is it.
Yeah. I will say I hate it when my kids call me by my name. Like every once in a while, my wife will be yelling up to me. She's like, Daniel, and my little girl's like, Daniel. Like, shut up.
That's not okay.
That's not Daniel.
It's very cute, but stop it.
That's not my name. That's not my name. Okay, Michael.
Don't bully me, Daniel.
Since this is your birthday episode, there for the listeners, there are so many more questions about these three movies that I would love to talk about, but we're pressed on time.
Okay,
Michael,
I think what we should do is how do we get here to these movies? This is a question that Dan asked. I think it's a good one. And my response to Dan when he said that was the same way the coin got here, Dan. But really, how did we get to these movies? Like, these are clearly like, I guess one of them's a neo-Western and two of them are revisionist Westerns, but they're all in the vein of the Western.
I would say almost all three are revisionist.
I
one
don't
just
know
takes place in the 70s.
Yeah, I think
the late 50s.
That's the difference.
No, the time period doesn't necessarily lock it down.
I don't know. I read that there was a difference, and I didn't go any further. I was like, interesting.
Someday,
who would have guessed?
It sounded really smart.
Not really.
Someday I will write the scholarly work on Westerns. It hasn't been written yet.
Okay.
Someday that will happen.
I'm sure someone's written scholarly work on Westerns.
Yeah, and it was wrong. Because it wasn't mine. What was going on in 2007, though, I thought about this a lot. Really, we're in the midst of a terrible war.
Yeah.
We're in the midst of a terrible war. We don't trust our institutions. We don't trust our figures of power. We distrust literally everything around us, including our interpersonal human interactions. There's this whole generation of people that were raised in the 80s and the 70s who now viewed our economic system as nearing collapse, which it did the next year. There's so much distrust and cynicism and anger towards institutions, towards any kind of government, that all three of these movies are kind of about that. They're either about the exploitation of our current economic system and its limitations and what it does to people, or they're about how there are shadowy cabals that are out to get people, or they're about outlaws literally on the run from the long arm of the law, and maybe how they're not doing so well themselves. That's my theory on this. Anyway, I've thought about this a lot, and that's how I think we got there. This incredibly cynical, pessimistic year. And
I think I agree with that 100%. Like, everybody's like really pessimistic at this point in time, and also I almost think this is like a natural human tendency where if things have been going on for a certain point, you kind of want to naturally rebel against it and then create a wave of something else. And for the 90s and early 2000s, it feels like the way movies are kind of different. They're kind of a little more charming, probably a little more naive, and a little more innocent. And then from 2007 on, we're getting grit. Things got to be dark and gritty. We got to be grounded in reality and the way things are. And now it's funny. I think now we're actually kind of rebelling against that a little bit.
Oh yeah,
because we're sick of it.
Screw Batman v Superman.
There is that going on now, but then I think that's what's starting to happen. Like early 2000s, 90s. Stop. Just tell us what's happening. Tell us what's going on. Let's look at reality, boldface, full on, and we'll have that reflected in art and movies, and reflect that in our history of Jesse James and Robert Ford and who else,
Yeah. I mean, there you really do have like the myth of Jesse James has been around for a while in different whatever, but like I mean, I read about it as a kid or whatever. He's an outlaw, whatnot, but like no, we're going to tell the story of this really miserable dude, Robert Ford, who's being exploited by Jesse James as they run from the law, and he wants to get famous because he wants to be like this guy, and then he decides I'm going to kill him, and then we're going to get 30 more minutes of this movie
of him acting it out every night.
He acts out what he did every night. Can't imagine, like, and then finally he dies too, because nobody kills him.
Yeah,
because he was nobody in the end.
What no great thing that Jesse took off his guns, having previously gifted him a gun, and then went and stood on a chair with his back to him.
Wait, did Jesse James want to be killed?
Yeah.
Yes.
He was done with life, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I think it was the last curiosity for him.
That's actually the way that final scene plays out is factual according to all accounts. That's
right.
It's so weird. It's so weird that he's like, oh, that's dirty, and then stands on a chair to like fix a picture. Like it's so weird. Like why would you make that up?
Yeah.
And then to disarm himself like he does, it's just a really bizarre circumstance.
It's like a suicidal thing.
It is, and it's also like letting somebody else get like fame off of it, like somebody maybe that you kind of want to, because maybe you had a sort of relationship with them. In this case, like
an attraction.
It could be like Roger Ebert said back 2 episodes ago.
The cigars, man.
Or it could also just be that like he's like had this kid under his wing. He wants this kid to sort of be like him, and in order to get that sort of fame, he has to do this. That's the only thing.
He gives him what he wants.
Takes in these modern days, modern in the movie, to make you famous, because you can't rob trains anymore.
I sense your affections towards me have changed.
Yeah. Or is he just like sick of it, sick of like running away and fear of the betrayal and
Probably
like
both.
finally being betrayed?
Yeah,
and
probably both.
Of that too.
It's probably all of it. Yeah.
Everything. Yeah.
Because the narrator does say that,
Yeah. Yeah, but the narrator we can't trust.
You can't.
You can't trust him.
You can trust the narrator.
You can trust the narrator.
You can trust
as far as I can throw him.
It's the editor. The editor of the movie. They're like, you have a nice voice.
It's pretty cool.
It's
does
always,
that answer?
Yeah. Yeah. Does that?
Yeah. This question of like when you're talking about these works of art, the question that always comes to mind is like, how much is society driving culture, and how much is culture driving society? Like, is this representing the mentality of the age, or were these artists trying to drive something, or trying to narrate themselves how they felt in the moment? And it's so interesting to me, because for me, as when I saw these movies and they impacted me so much, for me, these cemented in my mind that we are in like a new age of cinema, that like these movies are doing something that no movies have done before. They're doing it in a more profound way. It's Roger Deakins paired with some of the best writing and screenplay and most profound dialogue that I've ever seen. And to me, this was proof that we are in a new age of cinema,
Mm-hmm.
and yet it's so dark. It's such a bad time. It's so like, it doesn't have. It has some hope to it, but it's not. It's not a happy ending at all. And so I go back and forth with it, where I'm like, is it a good thing that this is where we are, or that that we were here in 2007? I don't know. I go back and forth with it, with thinking that this was a great thing that happened in the late aughts, or that it represents something very sad, like a mentality that was very sad and very dark and very kind of nihilistic, like we've been mentioning.
I don't think we're out of that. I mean, like, again, I don't want to
back
get
into it.
I don't want to get political, too
Yeah.
political here, or talk about shit that happened when I was a teenager or a young child. But the war on terror, really influenced not only our perception of the world, but also the perception of those who make art, and that trickled down in a long ways. And then our recent political unrest, regardless of whether you're on the left or the right hand side of the aisle, has been fairly traumatic for all of us, even on a small level. And in this age, it's become so much harder to be sincere and not be cynical, and to be positive or to be optimistic. It really doesn't feel like tomorrow's going to be better than yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I think that's right, and that's why I was 2 episodes ago at this point.
Yeah.
I was expressing frustration with how Hollywood was, because I saw No Country for Old Men and saw this was kind of ushering in this sort of movie, this sort of era for a long time, and I think we've stayed here. Like, there have been exceptions, but like things have been kind of sad in cinema. Like, in order to be great, like, you can't be happy.
Is this the darkest timeline?
Yeah. That's what our movies have been saying. Like, even look at the MCU, like the way it all ended with Thanos.
Yeah.
Like,
Thanos was right.
Thanos was right. Maybe that's a popular theory, or it's all gotten kind of dark.
Yeah.
And like, the idea of a charming, sweet movie, it's always seen as like really naive. And that's also why I've grown to love, particularly this year, movies like Top Gun Maverick or RRR, or RRR, which is like a violent movie that also remains charming throughout, which is like really bizarre and not something that I'm seeing every day. Because I'm seeing that as like a little bit of a shift, a little bit of like a
light at the end of the tunnel.
You know what's going to change? You know what's going to change culture forever, guys? Is when James Cameron finally shows us the way of water. When we know the way of water, everything will be better. All right? Avatar kind of started this shit.
It can lead us out.
It can lead us out.
It'll bring us out.
Yeah.
Show us the way.
The way
Big
of
Jim.
water is the way to salvation.
Yeah. But I think unless there's an absolute pressing last thing that wants to be said by anyone, including the birthday boy, we should move. Is there a last thing?
Do you guys have anything?
Mike?
I think the only thing I want to say is thank you guys for talking about these movies with me. These are two of my longest favorite movies, and one new one to add to the list. I really do love The Assassination of Jesse James. There's so much here to think about, and to consider and to re-experience every time I see them. Even though like maybe they're the beginning of the end for, I don't know, nice films. I think that was Batman Begins, but I think that
I think it was Schindler's List.
It was Unforgiven.
It was Unforgiven.
It was Unforgiven.
No, agreed.
Yes, it was Unforgiven. Unforgiven. Yeah. These guys come in the same, like they're stepping in those footprints. But either way, thank you for talking to me about them. Thank you for talking with me about them. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. And I can't wait for our next podcast.
Thank you for having a birthday.
Wait. Oh yeah. Anytime. Get it for a whole month. Wait, we've got a couple of questions at the end here.
Let's do it fast.
All right, so guys, are you going to show any of these to your kids?
I will be showing. I'll be showing at least No Country and the Assassination. I think that There Will Be Blood is a come home Christmas break freshman year of college. That's what I'm going to say. And I think that No Country is a great 16, 17-year-old watch. And I think Assassination is about in the same category.
Yeah. Dan.
I might be surprising here. I personally, this might change over time, but I kind of see all three of them as freshman year of college type movies.
Nice.
I don't know that any of them I feel ready to show, 16-year-old son who's only 5 right now. But I don't know that any of them I am ready to show any of my kids at 16, 17, and that could change again. But that's all I got right now.
Yeah, basically the same. I mean, like, you and Beta really aren't that far off. He's saying 16, 17. You're saying like 18, 19. It's off by like a couple years. It's around there.
I do want to introduce I do want to make sure they see these movies, but not till they're older.
Yeah, that's my sentiment too.
It's got to be way older. I don't know what age. Like, for my daughter, I don't think I will ever show her a single one of these movies. With my
45.
Son, she will refuse to watch. She will actively run away and cry. For my son, I don't know. Like, it would be really cool to have those same conversations that Mike was talking about with No Country for Old Men.
That's true.
When he's 17.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, it'll have to be around there if it ever happens. It's also very possible it won't, and I'll just let them discover these all on their own.
I feel like I could see showing my kids Assassination of Jesse James earlier than No Country and There Will Be Blood to a degree, but at the same time, I don't know. I'm in the same boat. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20,
older teens.
21, older teens into college years. I mean, like, it would be great to feel like, if they haven't seen them by the time they're in college, like, definitely gonna.
And why would they have?
Gonna take a double feature.
I mean, do you?
No Country and There Will Be Blood. I'll be like, all right, now you understand your old
What
man.
year was your eldest daughter born?
2016.
Yeah. Okay. So the Best Picture winner 9 years prior to her birth.
Yeah.
I don't think she'll have seen it.
I bet she won't.
I think you'll be safe.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I bet that there's going to be stuff that comes out when our kids are teenagers that we're kind of doing the same thing with.
I hope so.
That we did with
I'm excited to see those movies.
Yeah.
What if they're all like Coda at that point? What if everything is just like Coda?
I mean, like, Coda's
Juno.
nice. Coda's nice, but to be frank, until you made that comment about Coda, I forgot that fucking movie existed. And we did like a 2-hour pod involving that movie, and I forgot it existed.
I also forgot about it. I feel bad about knocking Coda as much as I have. It's a perfectly pleasant.
It's a very pleasant,
good movie. It's a good movie.
It's a good movie.
It's just not as good as something that is about death. I love death. I'm here for the deaths.
And murder.
Darker. All right. Well, all right. Last question. Is this a dad movie? Jesse, starting with you.
Yeah.
Are these dad movies? Which
They're
ones
all
of
dad
them?
movies.
They're all dad. Oh, beautiful.
Wait. Are we unanimous in this?
I'm unanimous.
I'm unanimous.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes!
even though I don't like No Country, I can't say how this is not clearly a dad movie.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm going to be watching these my whole life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No Country is about the struggle. Yeah. Okay.
This copy of this book, okay, that I got when it was 2007. So I was, how old was I? I was turning 15 that summer.
Wow.
In here is the stamp from my childhood bookstore.
Wow.
This book has followed me around since 2007. This book is one of my
Beautiful.
most treasured possessions. I got it the same year I got my copy of Watchmen, and I'm just gonna have this around for forever. It's still in like fantastic condition. This book is a part of me. It informs so much of how I think, and so does Cormac McCarthy. Like, it's so important.
Yeah.
No Country for Old Men, There Will Be Blood, and even the Assassination of Jesse James, because I mean that came around when I was 18. It's about like my childhood adoring cowboys growing up in the West. Like, all three of these, man, it's a fucking dad movies. I don't know. Especially this dad.
That's great. That's awesome, guys. Well,
You know what would be great is if 15 years from now there's like another podcast called Not Your Father's Movies and they talk about Coda. It's like ushering in this new and there's someone like me who's like, this ushered in a new wave of shit that I hate.
We're going to talk about this kind of forgotten gem, okay? It's There Will Be Blood. All right, this is how I view the world. Just to prove that film bros will exist for forever and ever and ever and ever.
Oh, they will.
But to end this, though, happy birthday, Mike.
Aw, thanks.
Happy
Do you guys have a
birthday.
cake for me?
Huh?
Remember that one time when... Never mind.
Oh, I do remember that time.
Yeah,
You mean last year when a cake came as we were recording your...
That was great.
Yeah.
Come on, where's my cake?
You gotta
I
flip
guess
a
none
coin
of us
for it.
Tom Lawler here again.
None of us
Tom
like you
Lawler.
as much as he does.
Well, with that, from all of us at Not Your Father's Movies, I'm Mike.
I'm Vito.
I'm Dan.
I'm Jesse.
Good night.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Not Your Father's Movies. Please let us know what you think about movies and our discussions on our Twitter at NYF Movies, on our Not Your Father's Movies Facebook group, follow us on Instagram, or email us at notyourfathersmovies@gmail.com. Also, please consider supporting us on Patreon. This podcast has cost us a lot of time, effort, and money. Please consider contributing and we will start sending you monthly newsletters, our bonus WhatsApp episodes, and even an NYFM mug. We hope to hear from you soon. Lastly, thank you to Max Agros for our awesome theme playing right now, and to Andy LaFave from Don't Dance for the remix that you hear at the beginning of every episode. Thanks again for listening to Not Your Father's Movies.